All right. So we're going to change this part, right? I'm going to adjust as we go. All right. So you look at this triangle. You've got two sides, and you've got the angle across one of them. So you know it's an SSA scenario, and in particular, it's obtuse. Okay, so it's actually an easier case. So it's actually just like this. This is 103, and that's your angle R. And this would be 16 centimeters, and this is 9 centimeters. This is your rod and your string. That's at least put the R and the S there, okay? So if in this case the string is greater than the rod, therefore one solution. Okay, so I would give you 1 mark for the diagram and 1 mark for the justification and final conclusion saying that it's one solution. Okay. Next, we have two sides again, and we do have the angle across from it. Remember, if it's not SSA, it's automatically one solution. That's it. Okay. And so SSA for sure, SSA, and we have an acute angle given. So we need to draw our triangle like this, and we put the angle X in this corner with a 50, 5.2 across from it, 7.1 centimeters there, rod and string. First thing we check is we compare string and rod. And we know that the string is shorter than the rod, therefore we need to find the height. I can just give you that. 7.1 times sine of 50, right? 7.1 times sine of 50. And so the height is 5.44 centimeters. So I think in this case, I would give you 1 mark for the diagram, 1 mark for going through these steps. And then the last mark would be like, hey, string is shorter than the rod, therefore no solution. Okay, that's going to be your last third mark there for that step. Oh, yes, it's the height, sorry. Good catch, because I'm comparing it to the height, that's right. This is what I'm comparing it to. And so this is 5.2 versus 5.44, which is the height. So this is just going to swing and not close, right? Good catch. So 3 marks for that one. And then our last one here, it is SSA again. SSA. And so we have an acute scenario. Let's see what's going to happen here. We draw it like this. 74 goes in this corner. That's A. This is 28 centimeters. This is 28.9 centimeters. Rod string. So the string is shorter than the rod. Need to find the height. The height is 28.9 times sine of 74. And that is 27.78 centimeters. So you get 1 mark for the diagram, 1 mark for going through these steps, and then the string is larger than the height. Therefore, you have 2 triangles, right? 2 solutions. That's another mark right there for making that final. You're going down one of the 3 branches. No solution, 1 right triangle, or 2 solutions, right? So this page is 3, 3, and 2. That's 8, right? This is 3, this is 3, and that is 2. So we're out of 8. Now, the big hitter, the heavy hitter, heavyweight champion, whatever you want to call it. So if you are ever in this conundrum, just draw your triangle in any way you want, right? You go RST, let's say, right? And then you put in the information. So this is 65. ST here is 4, right? RS is 4.3. You know that it's SSA because you have a pair and a side, and it's acute, right? So you've determined that, by just starting somewhere. And most often you'll actually just end up with the way you want it to look. So I'm going to force this to look like this. Okay, R is 65. This is S up here. So I'm going to make the 4, just make sure the 4 is across 65, and this is 4.3. So you're basically turning it. But the triangle stays the same, right? And we are in millimeters, right? So the first thing is we notice that I'm going to call this, oh, that's another mean. There's another mean move, right? The RS is all confusing, right? You would probably be tempted to call this R because this is angle R. But the RS that I use, I just use it to make sure that this is my rod and that's my string. Yikes, right? But I know that the string is shorter than the rod. I need to find the height, which is 4.3 times sine of 65. So this really, you had to really know what you were doing, right? Because everything was kind of like meant to confuse you, right? So 4.3 times sine of 65. I won't do that on that test, okay? So you don't need to like panic right now. Oh my goodness, this is so complicated, right? Like just focus on what we're doing here. And then the string is longer than the height, right? You conclude that. Therefore, 2 solutions. So for this whole thing, I'm going to give you 2 marks in this particular question here, right? Diagram, finding the height, coming up there. Okay, so I'm going to make a line there and draw my, I told you to do this one first, right? The one that swings out. So you go R S T, but you call it S1 T1 S1 here. And then the other one swings in, right? This arm swings in and closes there, making this triangle. R S2 T2 S2 there. And what do we know? We know 65. We know 65. We know this is 4. And we know this is 4.3. Doesn't change. And some of you are just like, I just want to know the final answer. Because I did all this, right? That's okay. Some of us still need another go at it. So I start with this. Okay, so sine of 65. I may skip some of the steps, right, that I would like you to do. Sine of T1 over 4.3. Sine of T1 is 4.3 times sine of 65. We're finding this angle here, right? So angle T1 is sine inverse of 0 point. That better start with a 0 or else you made a mistake. That is, I don't have that on my key. I'm going to do this as detailed as I can, right? So T1 is 76.98. Okay. Important. And then I go straight across and I find this angle here because I know that these are supplementary. T2 is 180 minus 76.98. So everything kind of feeds if you make a mistake along the way. That's okay. I go in and try to fish out as many marks as I can, so long as you're consistent, right? You need to be consistent. So this is also important. I can now, for both of these triangles, find the top angle, which will allow me to find the side. Okay. You got to watch out. Sometimes this is it. Like I'll just ask you find angle T, and you would have to say, well, angle T can be this or it can be this. Done. I could ask you for angle S. One more step, right? Find both angle S, S1 and S2, and then that would be it. Okay. The longest one is if you're asked for that side, right? So let's go ahead and find angle S2 is 180 minus 65 minus 103.05. S2 is 11.98. Also important. And I'm going to start giving marks here. Hold on, give me 1 second. S1 is 180 minus 65 minus 76.98. Angle S1 is 38.02 degrees. So how are we handing out marks here, Mr. Dirksen? How exactly is this going to work? Well, if you get to 76.98, you get 2 marks. Okay. You get a mark for subtracting the angle you found from 180 to get T2. That would be another mark right there. I will give you 1 mark for this, 1 mark for that, for S1 and S2. So you've got 2, 3, 4, 5 so far, and here come the other. So you can stay with sine law, but I'm switching over here. So to find S1, this side here, I'm just going to go SAS. I'm going to use this angle that I just found to help me out. So that's 4.3 squared plus 4 squared minus, and the rest is, you know how to use cosine law, hopefully. You take the root of that, that's 7.39 dot dot dot. S1 is 2.72 millimeters. So that would be worth 2 marks the first time. And then for the next one, we'll just give you 1 mark today. So how am I going to do this to clean this up a bit there? I'm going to find S2 squared. I'm going to do the exact same thing. It looks identical, except for I'm using cosine of 11.98. S2 is the square root of 0.839 dot dot dot. S2 is equal to 0.92 millimeters. 1 mark for that one. So what are we at here? Let's go way from the top, right? 2 marks for the justification, determining it's 2, right? So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, and another 3 would be 10 marks for the backside. Yeah. This one here, you got 0, 2. Yeah. I see a lot of heads nodding. It is 0, 2 then. I'm not going to even bother checking. But yeah, because of the 9, 8, it makes sense. Yeah. Good catch. It is actually 0, 2. But it's Monday, and you got to watch out with me on a Monday. Yeah. But is everything else good? Everything else flows? Yeah. So you got this for S2? Yeah. Yeah, it's like at the top instead of 180 I would probably just let it go, because you, right, if you get the 1198, you did type in 180. Yeah. Did you get the same answer? Close? Close. Very close, right? Like 0.01 off? Yeah, that's fine. Sine law is still your friend. If you like sine law more, I'm more like a cosine law person. If you're a sine law person, you stick with it. No problem. But remember, at the very beginning, you only have 1 choice. Once you start solving, then you can branch off to wherever you want. Okay. Good. So added up 10, and what were we at in the first page? 8. So 18. 18. That's your Spanish number of the day. Um,